In these 40 years of my ministry, doing family counseling, therapy, helping people to heal from various heartbreaks, betrayal, pain, shame, embarrassing situations, when a loved one, husband or wife, find themselves in a relationship that makes their spouses feel like committing suicide, feel like doing something nasty, doing something that when it's done and the eyes goes down, the law will take its course. I've seen people that are in prison today because of this particular act of having to go through pain, shame, an act that brings pain, that brings torture, that brings the other spouse to a place of not wanting to leave. Not only the spouse, but the children having to point fingers to their parents physically, consciously, unconsciously, emotionally, psychologically, mentally, pointing fingers to their parents and say, "You are not fair on us," because of this particular topic of committing adultery or having an affair. Affair is multidimensional. You can have emotional affairs, you can have psychological affairs, you can have physical affairs. Affair in a relationship, marriage especially, is so devastating that the effect and the pain is excruciating. Life has dealt with a lot of people in a way that they cannot think, they cannot act. Some are permanently numbed, going into infidelity, adultery in a marriage relationship is beyond what anybody can explain. A woman told me, she said, "I was gang raped by 5 different men at a party, just raping her back to back." She said the pain she had after her husband committed adultery is worse than the pain of rape, meaning that it's painful than rape. One woman told me she found out that her husband was committing adultery. In the process, she lost her son. She said that the death of her son was not as painful as her discovery of her husband's infidelity. The act of acting out or committing adultery in a relationship is becoming worse, terrible, overbearing, unacceptable these days. Not because men are jealous, women are jealous. Hear me today. When it comes to an act of infidelity, having an affair has caused so much pain to the heart of the spouse, to the heart of the children. A lot of destinies, ministries, businesses, so many things has been affected and is still being affected by an act of adultery, having to go into another person's life having a bond and a commitment without letting the other person know. All these things are done in secret. A lady told me that when she heard the dreaded news of her husband's affair after 16 years of marriage, she said it was a moment of a nightmare. She said at the disclosure that her husband had to open up and say, "My dear, I've been acting out for the past 2 years." She broke down. She started weeping. She said to herself, "What did I do? Why? Why me?" She was angry with God. She was angry with herself. She was angry with her husband. Can you imagine? When we are living in a world that does not even encourage a woman to have an affair, now discovering that your husband is cheating on you. Anytime the news or the disclosure or the secret of an affair is linked out, it brings a permanent pain, a permanent scar, which only God can heal, which only therapy, counseling, God can heal. It is a very difficult place to be, whether you're a man or you're a woman, your husband, your wife committed adultery. It is a tough place to be. Mo ń sọ àwọn nǹkan kan fún wa lénìí wípé tí a bá wà nínú ìgbéyàwó tí ọkọ àti ìyàwó tó lọ ṣe àṣemáṣe nípa gbígbé obìnrin míì wọlé àbí sí ayé wọn nínú ìgbéyàwó wọn. Wàhálà yìí kò dúró lórí ọkọ àti ìyàwó nìkan. Àwọn ọmọ, àwọn ọmọ ṣe ló dàbí pé à ń fi ọ̀pá àṣẹ lé àwọn ọmọ lọ́wọ́ wípé nínú ẹ̀jẹ̀ yín o, ẹ máa ṣe àgbèrè lọ tàbí kẹ́ ẹ máa ṣe ṣìnà lọ. Ó jẹ́ nǹkan tí ọkàn ò lè gbé torí ọkàn ò légungun. Ó jẹ́ nǹkan tí kò ṣeé gbàgbé torí ojú àpá ni, kò kí ń jojú ara. Arábìnrin kan sọ fún mi pé ìgbà tí òun gbọ́ wípé ọkọ òun ó ní àlè níta, ó ní ìgbà tóun kéré oríṣiríṣi ọkùnrin ní òde kan náà fipá bá òun lò pọ̀. Ó ní ọgbẹ́ ọkàn àti ẹ̀dùn yẹn kò tó ìfipábánilòpọ̀ tó là kọjá. Arábìnrin kan náà sọ fún mi pé ìgbà tóun gbọ́ pé ọkọ òun ṣe àṣemáṣe nípa bíbá obìnrin míì ní àjọṣepọ̀ láì ṣóhun, ó ní kò pẹ́ sí ìgbà tóun gbọ́ ni ọmọ òun ṣaláìsí. Ó ní egbò yẹn, ọgbẹ́ yẹn kò dùn ún tó ọmọ òun tó ṣaláìsí. Ẹ dẹ̀ mọ̀ bí ọmọ ṣe ń rí sóbìnrin. Ó jẹ́ pé tí àgbèrè bá ti wọnú ìgbéyàwó tó ti di pé ó ti di wàhálà, ẹ rí wípé ó ti di nǹkan tí a ní láti fojú sùnùkùn wò. Ó wá sí mi lọ́kàn pé kí n béèrè lọ́wọ́ àwọn kan nígbà kan wípé tó bá jẹ́ ọ̀rọ̀ ìbálòpọ̀, àwọn èèyàn máa ń sọ wípé tíyàwó mi tó bá jẹ́ kí n bá òun ṣe pọ̀ gẹ́gẹ́ bí ọkọ àtìyàwó, tí ọkọ mi tó bá jẹ́ kí n bá òun ṣe pẹ̀lú gẹ́gẹ́ bí ọkọ àtìyàwó, mi ò ní ṣe àgbèrè. Irọ́ ni. Kì í ṣe ìgbéyàwó tí ò dáa tàbí pé àwa compatible bẹ́ẹ̀ ni èmi àti ẹ̀ wá wà ó papọ̀, òun ló ń fàgbèrè. Kò rí bẹ́ẹ̀ o. Kì í ṣe stress pé ara níyàn nínú ìgbéyàwó aláìtí pọ̀jù, kò sówó kò sí nǹkan kan ló ń fa ìbálòpọ̀ láti máa ta ẹsẹ̀ àgẹ̀rẹ̀ lọ síta lẹ́yìn tá a bá ti fẹ́ ìyàwó wa àbí ọkọ wa. Kì í ṣòun. I want to remove this stress, this lies, this set mind and belief that has corroded an act of adultery in marriage. I'm choosing my words because sometimes when you listen to things like this from men or women. eh, my husband, he's not a good man. He's not making me to enjoy my marriage. That's why I commit adultery. Is a lie. It's not it. My husband, what he did to me, we are not compatible. We are not the same. It's not true. Oh, I'm too stressed. And my wife is not there for me. My husband is not there for me. It is not it. What it is what I want to share with you today. Because you need to understand how life is and what is the reason for infidelity. What is the reason for adultery? Why do we engage ourselves in an extramarital relationship when we have children, when we had parents that has done the same thing? Having done the same thing, is affecting everyone from generation to generation because we are not careful and the issues are not confronted. My name is Olufunke Adetuberu. This is Shematters on Fresh FM 107.9 Abeokuta. On behalf of Dr. Nkaju Elaifele, the visionary leader of Fresh FM Abeokuta, I welcome you to Shematters on 107.9. When it comes to the issue of infidelity, adultery, addiction is beyond my wife is not there for me. My husband is not there for me. He's not meeting my emotional needs. I'm under pressure. Women are not allowing me to rest. Men are disturbing me. It's beyond that in 1,000,000 ways. In the last 39 years of my work, years of counseling, the wives of cheating husbands and the husbands of cheating wives, it is a hardest situation, hardest thing when I have to listen to the feelings, the trauma, the pain, the abuse, the feel of rejection through these men and women. Honestly, it is like walking through a city that was bombed. And the city used to be beautiful, amazing before the bomb. You see, I'm saying it in pain and with a loss of sense of responsibility. The city that is bombed, looking amazing before the bomb, is a man or a woman sitting in front of me whose soul, life, past, present, future has been devastated tragically by the person they love most in their lives, which is their spouse. When we engage in any form of infidelity in our relationships, the effect does not end with us. Our children, unborn children, feels the impact, the devastating effect of adultery or extramarital relationship. Let me give you an example of a particular man who had a covenant relationship with God, like a pastor or a born-again Christian or a believer in the content of the New Testament. The man is Abraham. He had an encounter with destiny. God told him specifically, follow me, leave your family, leave everybody, follow me, I will make you great. You are going to become the father of nations. One thing an infidelity does in relationship, it truncates greatness, truncates destiny, puts greatness on hold. Hey, it's like having a plan. Your God has a plan for you to be great, to become someone that the world will listen to. A word will hear in the area of influence and affluence, money, everything is available. It's like you are ready for greatness, and suddenly the act of infidelity crept into your marriage, and that will be it. It's like a scar. It's actually a scar that can only be healed by counseling and therapy. Listen to me. If you have ever experienced infidelity in your marriage, seek help. Whether you are guessing, oh, my husband is sleeping around, or my wife is sleeping around, you have a proof, whether you have a proof or not. If your senses is consciously telling you or subconsciously telling you that your husband or your wife is not faithful, quickly seek help before it becomes a major issue. Or else you'll be shocked that it will not only end with you. I'm not giving you a story that is made up. This is not a made up story. There was a case I handled like 2 years ago. I don't want to give you the full picture, but I'm going to try and make it in a way that the people in question will not understand what I'm saying. Apart from that, I have an oath of secrecy and confidentiality in this profession. So we don't divulge information that will affect people in question. The man, who is the husband, works in an establishment. Of course, I won't give you the details. Met a lady that her husband has been wounded. The husband left her, went away. She was pregnant before the man went. The man took everything she had, sold it, and traveled out of the country. Actually, the moment she heard, she became so devastated that she fell into labor. Don't forget, she was pregnant before her husband left. She fell into labor. She had to be induced. The baby came out. She spent several months in the hospital because she had a lot of complications. At the end of the day, she got over it, got a job in a place, now met a married man who is a committed man to his wife and his children. I'm talking about infidelity, adultery, under addiction. The man found out that this female staff of hers, is hurting because of what her husband did to her. And they started relating, sorry, you can move on, life goes on, don't worry, everything will be fine. And that was good. Go to school, go and do your PhD, don't worry, you'll be fine. And they got emotional with each other. And that emotions got to a place where they could not manage it. They started having an affair. I told you, my husband is not meeting my needs. My wife is not loving me. We are not compatible. All these stories, it is not it. There are moments in the life of a man or a woman that they become vulnerable. Ẹ jẹ́ kí n sáré kí gbogbo ẹ̀yin tẹ́ ń gbọ́ mi ní orí ètò. Mo fẹ́ sọ fún wa wípé tá a bá ti ń sọ wípé a ní ata ẹsẹ̀ àgẹ̀rẹ̀ síta nínú ìgbéyàwó wa gẹ́gẹ́ bí ọkùnrin àbúkóbìnrin, kì í ṣe nǹkan tí ó jẹ́ pé bóyá torí ọkọ mi ṣe báyìí, ìyàwó mi ṣe báyìí, tàbí ìwà wa ò bá wa pọ̀. Ó ju bẹ́ẹ̀ yẹn lọ. Mo ń try láti summarize ẹ̀ ní Yorùbá nítorí pé kí ni, mo mọ̀ pé àwọn kan wà tó yẹ pé wọ́n fẹ́ gbọ́ mi ní èdè Yorùbá. Mo fẹ́ kẹ́ máa jẹ́ káwọn èèyàn máa interpret fún yín. Tẹ́ bá ti jókòó sórí rédíò yín, tẹ́ fẹ́ máa gbọ́ Shematters, ẹni káwọn èèyàn tètè máa bá yín sọ̀rọ̀, kí lóbìnrin yẹn sọ, kí náà sọ. Á lè jẹ́ kí ọ̀rọ̀ yìí kó lè easy fún mi láti tètè fi àkókò kékeré tí mo ní láti máa fi sọ. Torí tí bá sọ Yorùbá tí mò ń sọ òyìnbó papọ̀, ó máa gbà wá lákòókò rẹpẹtẹ. Ní àkójọ, nǹkan tí mo wá sọ ni pé mo ní nǹkan kan tó ṣẹlẹ̀ ní àárín arábìnrin kan àti arákùnrin kan tọ́jọ́ wà ń bíṣẹ́. Arábìnrin yìí, ọkọ ẹ̀ ta gbogbo nǹkan tó ní pátápátá, ó sá lọ sílùú òyìnbó. Ó dẹ̀ lóyún sínú. Bó ṣe gbọ́ báyìí tí yẹn, ó kàn pé ní airport ni pé mo ti fly o. Ìrọbí bẹ̀rẹ̀ arábìnrin láti lọ hospital. Ó ní oríṣiríṣi wàhálà tó ṣẹlẹ̀ pẹ̀lú ìbímọ. Ó bímọ yẹn, ó lò bí oṣù kan lọ hospital. Ó bímọ yẹn, ìgbà tó bímọ yẹn tán, ó padà síbi iṣẹ́. Ìgbà tó débi iṣẹ́, ó wá rí arákùnrin kan tọ́jọ́ ń ṣiṣẹ́ papọ̀. Ìyẹn wá bẹ̀rẹ̀ sí ní ru inú ẹ̀ sókè. Ṣé dáadáa, má wọ́rì, kàwé, wàá wà òkè, lọ kàwé sí, àjọ máa ṣiṣẹ́ yìí ni, a máa wá customer. Ó ṣáàdá tó jẹ́ pé wọ́n ṣe dáadáa gan. Ìgbà tó yá kán tó mọ nǹkan tó ń lọ, ìfẹ́ bẹ̀rẹ̀ sí ní rú sókè. láàrin àwọn méjèèjì. Kán tó mọ nǹkan tó ń ṣe, kán tó mọ nǹkan táwọn méjèèjì ń ṣe, kí ló ṣẹlẹ̀ sí wọn o? Wọ́n bẹ̀rẹ̀ sí ní ṣé àgbèrè ni màá pè ní? Àgbèrè náà la máa pè. Nígbà tí iná dójú kókó, wọ́n ṣe mistake, wọ́n fúnra wọn lóyún. True story, òdodo ọ̀rọ̀, kì í ṣe pé bóyá àròsọ. Ìgbà tó fúnra wọn lóyún, a rí wípé ó wá di nǹkan tí àwọn méjèèjì ọmọ Ọlọ́run ni wọ́n o. Ẹ má jẹ́ ká rò wípé torí pé wọn ò jọ ṣẹ̀sìn tàbí wọn ò lẹ́sìn, àwọn méjèèjì ló lẹ́sìn. Ṣùgbọ́n téèyàn ò bá ṣọ́ra, tí ọ̀rọ̀ ẹ̀sìn tí a bá fojú wò dáadáa, ọ̀rọ̀ ìbálòpọ̀ àbí emotions ó ga jẹ̀sìn lọ o. Mo fẹ́ sọ yẹn fún wa. Kán tó mọ nǹkan tó ń lọ, kí ló ṣẹlẹ̀ sí wọn? Ó kù ṣé ká ṣẹ́yún ni àbí ká má ṣẹ́yún? Bó ṣe pè mí lójijì nìyẹn pé mọ́mì mo ti dáràn, nǹkan kan ti ṣẹlẹ̀. Mo lọ́lọ́run ò ní jẹ́ á dáràn o. Ká tó wí ká tó fọ̀, ìyàwó gbọ́. Nígbà tí ìyàwó gbọ́, ìyàwó mu májèlé o. Ó fáwọn ọmọ mẹ́tẹ̀ẹ̀ta ní májèlé mu. Ọpẹ́lọpẹ́ Ọlọ́run, ọpẹ́lọpẹ́ ambulance, ọpẹ́lọpẹ́ pé a tètè jára mọ́. Bóyá ẹ bá ti gbọ́ lórí news. Kí ni mò ń sọ ni wípé tó bá ti kan ọ̀rọ̀ ìbálòpọ̀ àti wípé èèyàn ń ṣe ọ̀ọ́ta ẹsẹ̀ àgẹ̀rẹ̀ síta nínú ìgbéyàwó, kò sí nǹkan tí ò lè ṣẹlẹ̀. Ẹ rí bí ọgbẹ́ ọkàn yẹn ṣe tó débi pé obìnrin rẹ́dì láti parẹ́ kó dẹ̀ pa àwọn ọmọ mẹ́tẹ̀ẹ̀ta tó bí fún arákùnrin yẹn. Cheating, having to have extramarital relationship, maybe a fling, or you met with your ex and the memory of the love that you had or you've shared just popped up, and before you know it, you have done it. Cannot, should not, may not end your marriage if you seek intervention, counseling, therapy, going out of the way to treat your wounds. The wound that is not treated will keep smelling. I have been campaigning, soliciting, shouting, creating an awareness that people need to be healed from every wound, trauma, or anything that happens that affects your soul. Your soul is tangible. Your body is tangible. If you have a slap in your body or somebody slapped your face and you had marks, the hand made a mark on your cheeks, it means that your body has felt the impact. If somebody cheats on you, your wife committed adultery, your husband committed adultery, he cheated on you, the heat is having a mark on your soul. If you don't treat it, you don't bring it out, you don't make sure that this thing is well treated like a sore or a wound, it's going to keep decaying. You're going to lose your relationship. I said it. I said, cheating don't have to be the end of your marriage. Personally, I have seen so many marriages who have been through a painful experience in their relationships, and today they are happy, they have a healthy relationship, and everybody had forgotten the shame and the pain that the infidelity has caused. The reason why this is possible is intervention, getting into therapy. Because I'm limited to time today, I will continue, because in the last 1 week, I've had a lot of people telling me, I don't know what is going on. My husband is cheating on me. I saw my wife's chat, sending pictures to somebody, and it's becoming rampant. And I always say that when I notice something, if I'm privileged to do a program for 1 hour, and just saying something simple, you have over 200 people saying the same thing, talking about the same challenge, you know that is a tall order. It's a call to wake up and do something. I gave example of Abraham. Why infidelity? Why adultery? What exactly is the root cause of a man and a woman loving each other, raising children together, and suddenly you just notice that you are being pushed to another man, to another woman that is not your husband or your wife. And before you know it, you are stuck. You can't continue again. It's affecting your home. You can't stop. You can't continue your own marriage. You want to shift and move to another person. The question is, what happened? There's an adage that says that when a child is bent at the back, you are pregnant of a child, and the pregnancy bends to the side, they say, dídà ló dà tọmọ dẹ̀gbẹ́ ẹ̀gbẹ́ ò ṣe lé ọmọ. Kì í ṣe gbogbo èèyàn tí ọkọ ẹ̀ bá ṣàgbèrè tàbí ìyàwó ẹ̀ ṣàgbèrè nígbéyàwó wọn gbọ́dọ̀ dàrú. Ó yẹ ká tún ṣe ni, kò nílò láti dàrú. Ṣùgbọ́n nǹkan tí ò fi ní jẹ́ kó dàrú ni wípé tá a bá tètè gbé ìgbésẹ̀ láti rí ẹni tó máa gbà wá nímọ̀ràn, tó máa ràn wá lọ́wọ́ láti jẹ́ kí nǹkan tó ṣẹlẹ̀ yẹn kó má ṣẹlẹ̀ mọ́. Kí ni gbogbo nǹkan tó ṣẹlẹ̀? Iṣẹ́ tí àwọn counselors àti therapists iṣẹ́ tá à ń ṣe nìyẹn. I appreciate everyone for listening to me. I'm being intentional about talking about infidelity, adultery. Why infidelity? I gave an example of a particular man who had a covenant relationship with God. God told him, leave your family, leave everyone. Meaning that when it comes to adultery, infidelity, it has nothing to do with religion, please. That's why in our profession as a counselor, as a therapist, we don't put religious first. Anybody can be struggling with emotions. We are all emotional beings. We are tripartite beings. We have a spirit, we have a soul, we live in a body. Now, this particular man, the way he puts religion on his head, let me put it that way, you would have expected that he would not even have any problem at all that has to do with extramarital relationship or infidelity. Now, the secret behind his adultery, Abraham committed adultery in his marriage. The reason behind his adultery is, number one, the bloodline. I won't finish it this week. I'll continue next week. But this is so important and is very, very crucial to everyone that wants to be free from adultery, that wants to avoid committing adultery. It's very important for you to listen to this episode. Listen, follow me on Instagram. My handle is Funke Adetuberu. Or go and listen to it on YouTube. My YouTube channel is Funke Adetuberu. Like, subscribe, and share with your friends on YouTube. You will listen to this episode again and again. If I'm going to help anybody, knowledge helps, knowledge delivers. The only help I can give you is to go back to my Instagram handle, Funke Adetuberu, and follow me on Instagram and listen to this episode again and again. The root of sexual struggle, the root of adultery, the root of having extramarital relationship is wild and wide. Wild and wide. Is wide in the sense that so many things contribute to it. It's not that your husband or your wife is not meeting your emotional needs, you are under stress, things are not working the way you want. Compatible. That's why I'm going to Abraham. This Abraham was so rich, his wife didn't have a child. There are several inlets to adultery, addiction, extramarital relationship, adultery. None is the bloodline. That's number one inlet. Abraham find himself coming from a family of idol worshipper. Idolatry also. I can use idolatry. When you are in an act of religion that has to do with fetish, all of us in Africa, is not abuse. Gbogbo wa no la mo bi ta ti nbo. Has to do with being fetish. Anywhere you see that kind of a thing, women are also involved. Ṣé òrìṣà ni olóbìnrin ni? Oríṣiríṣi bẹ́yẹn. ìdílé abọ̀rìṣà lọ́lọ́run ti pé Abraham kó jáde wá. Coming from that lineage, definitely adultery is close to idolatry. So Abraham find himself from that system. Now, he has made a commitment to God. That's why I said we are tripartite being. You have a spirit, you have a soul, you live in a body. Because he's a tripartite being and he has a spirit, he has a soul, he live in a body, what happens? It is his spirit that connected to God, his soul and his body, there's no connection to God. Body don't change. Soul don't change. Spirit is intact, clean. When you give your life to Christ, it's your spirit that is born again. Your soul and your body is not born again. Now, Abraham had a soulish encounter with God. He obeyed God quick and left his idol worshipping background, came to a place where he was going to be serving God and worshipping God. Unfortunately, number one, the wife was not pregnant. Sarah couldn't be pregnant yet. The bloodline of Abraham is adultery or idolatry. Hear me, I'm not in a hurry to give us this information. The moment you find yourself from a dysfunctional home, polygamy or monogamy, maybe your father had 7 wives, 7 children for 7 different women, just know that there's a problem. That's the pattern of the bloodline. Your mother had 4 of you for 4 different men. That is a red flag. Something is wrong somewhere. And if it is not addressed, if you don't intentionally deal with it, you'll be shocked that you will pass the baton to your children. Now, what made your father to have, or grandfather or great-grandfather have many wives? If you are hearing me today and your great-grandfather, your great-great-grandfather has an extramarital relationship or is a polygamist, just know that polygamy is looking for you. That is the pattern of the bloodline. That is number 1 inlet to adultery, addiction. When in the family system, you can count how many people in your family that does not have another wife outside. Some of them have 3, they have 4. Some have 15 women and almost 100 children. And honestly, you can't trace them. The man himself does not even know how many children he has. I've seen men that it's only on their deathbed, when they are dead, that they'll be receiving calls. I've seen pastors that after they have died is when calls started coming in. Her daddy in the Lord has a child outside. The wife is still saying, possible. By the time they bring the child out, yay! The root is check where you are coming from. Your daddy, your mommy had issues with adultery. You are the next person that thing we want to perch on if you are not careful. And that is why I insist, and I'm still insisting, don't marry without premarital counseling. If your husband to be or your wife to be has traces of their father is a polygamist, their mother is a polygamist, just know that it is a red flag for you to start working on yourself and start dealing with that thing, or else it will deal with you. It will show up. Take this to the bank. I know what I'm saying. Next year will be 40 years of doing this. Yay! Let me tell all our fans. August 7 is my birthday. I'm born on the 7th of August, 1963. I'm going to be 60. I am grateful to God for the gift of life, for the privilege of living. I've even forgotten. See my heart with what I'm doing. Maybe if that is the most important thing in my heart, I would have said it before, but I'm grateful. I appreciate the gift of relevance. I'm so, so, so grateful. I'll be expecting you to sing happy birthday for me. I'm joking, no. Ṣàánú mi torí gbogbo fóònù ló máa kún. But I know some people will still greet me happy birthday because I know you love me and you appreciate what I'm doing. Now, the moment you notice that your daddy or your mommy has this background whether 4th or 5th generation, please don't say, baba mi ni oníyàwó mẹ́fà, baba mi. Listen, tó bá ti wà nínú ẹ̀jẹ̀ pátápátá. Let me explain what I'm talking about. I'm still talking about the bloodline. Last born me is over 30 years old. The firstborn, when I went to the hospital, the doctor will take a biro, a paper, and ask me some deep-seated questions. Àwọn ìbéèrè tí wọ́n máa wò pé irú àwọn ìbéèrè jákujàku lélẹ̀ ẹ̀ wá gbà mí. But they will ask. And the first question is, number 1, how many children ni ìyàwó yín ní, ni daddy yín ní, ni mommy yín ní? Tẹ́ bá ti wá sọ yẹn tán, wọ́n ní ṣé ẹ mutí. Mo ti sọ fún wọn pé pastor ni mi o, Reverend Mrs. Olufunke Adetuberu. Mo ti sọ o. Wọ́n ní ṣé mo mutí, ṣé mo mu sìgá àti ẹ̀gbọ́n yẹn. Wọ́n wá béèrè lọ́wọ́ mi pé ṣé bàbá mi wọ́n ní blood pressure, ṣé ìyá mi ṣán ní blood pressure, ṣé family mi alẹ́nikẹ́ni tó ní cancer rí, alẹ́nikẹ́ni tó ní ìfúnpá gíga rí, alẹ́nikẹ́ni tó ní diabetics rí, tó sugar. They will ask questions, and I'm wondering, what does that has to do with I want to put to bed? Because some sicknesses are genetic. And that is why, hear me, oh, this is a bonus. If you are hearing me now and somebody in the family had cancer issue, please go and do cancer test in your bloodline. They are discovering now that cancer is genetic. Genetic means in the bloodline. Now, the question is, if cancer, blood pressure, diabetics can be found in the bloodline, what will happen? What will happen? It means that adultery is also found in the bloodline because of the gene. When I do the School of Ministry for Women, we treat several topics. One of the topics is know your personality. We discover that there are 4 types of human being on earth. But the talker, the thinker, the detailed, and the thorough. Looking at this temperament, we notice that our children, my grandchild, act sometimes like me. And I used to wonder, am I your mother? No. Bloodline. The pattern of the bloodline, blood is so strong. Even in psychology, we were made to realize that part of us is strong in our parents. Part of our parents is strong in us. How do I mean? The moment you notice that there is anything that has to do with infidelity, adultery with your parents, both ways, your mother had many children for different men, or your mother had to divorce, or your father had to separate and marry another woman, just wake up. And that is why I'm going to emphasize again. Premarital counseling is not optional. And I'm not, some people will now go, and they are counseling in my church. This is different. Counseling you in your church, they will tell you, love your husband, respect your husband, give him food, your in-law, they are their in-law. That is surface. A good counselor and a therapist, professionally inclinated, will help you to trace it. You trace it, you face it, you erase it and start replacing it. If you can't trace it, you can't face it. If you cannot face it, you cannot erase it. You have to trace the root of where you are coming from, and that alone will help you to be guarded and guided. I've seen people, because they understand this thing, they make sure they are not giving room to anything that would crack their wall or a chip in their armor, because they know where they are coming from. But people that does not know where they are coming from, they will say, my wife is this, my husband is this. Look at what he's doing. You are deceiving yourself. What is speaking in your life has to do with the fact that a grandfather, a great-grandfather, a grandmother, a great-grandmother had a challenge in that area of acting out sexually. The moment that is there, for you to escape, you have to be intentional. For you to escape, you have to be determined. For you to escape, you have to set some standard, structured system. And it can only happen in counseling. It can only happen when you have somebody in your family that you open up to and made it clear that this and these are part of the things I'm fighting in our family. So when there's a problem, my counselor, my therapist, remind me to be cautious. Because listen to me, àwọn nǹkan kan wà tó jẹ́ pé èèyàn máa ṣe tó ń lọ síbi ẹ̀jẹ̀ èèyàn. Mi fẹ́ pè léègùn, ṣùgbọ́n àwa Yorùbá a ti fi culture gbé, a ti fi ẹ̀sìn gbé, a ti wá gbé ẹ̀sìn yẹn lórí, we have put it in religion that we are not thinking. When it comes to an act of infidelity, the bloodline has to be addressed. What would you do? Are you going to remove your blood and put another blood? No. You must be aware. Aha! Inú ilé bàbá mi, ọ̀pọ̀lọpọ̀ obìnrin ló wà ńbẹ̀. Inú ilé ìyá mi, àwa mẹ́wàá, ọmọ mẹ́wàá. Màmá mi ò jókòó nílé ọkọ. Those are the things you have to look into. Bàbá mi, hey. I've had cases of fathers sleeping with their children because it's in the pattern of the bloodline that their grandfathers slept with their own children. If you can only take this alone to your heart today and start being intentional by seeking help. Now, let me say this to everyone hearing me. When I talk about seeking help, it is not free. When you go to the doctor, you are treated. When you go to your account officer, who is your consultant, you pay them for their services. Recovery from adultery, recovery from infidelity, recovery from anything has to be treated as if you are treating your physical pain. When you do that, it will be so easy for you to look at your life and be happy with what you are seeing at the end of the day. I have just gave you one inlet to adultery. Ẹ jẹ́ kí n sáré sọ fún gbogbo ẹ̀yin tẹ́ ń gbọ́ mi ní èdè abínibí wa. Mo ti ń já sọ, mò ń já mọ́ra wọn. Màá sọ òyìnbó díẹ̀, màá sọ Yorùbá díẹ̀ nítorí pé mo fẹ́ kẹ́ ẹ gbọ́ mi ni. Nǹkan tí mò ń sọ ni wípé tó bá ti wà nínú ẹ̀jẹ̀ wa, bóyá bàbá wa àbí bàbá wa, wọ́n níyàwó 4, ọmọ 12, bẹ́ẹ̀ lọ. Bẹ́ẹ̀ náà lóbìnrin, bóyá ọmọ 10 lẹ bí fọ́kọ 10, gbédìí jókòó sílé ọkọ. Ó ti di dandan ká ti wò pé àti ojú sùnùkùn wò pé ẹni yìí torí ibi tó ti ń bọ̀ nínú ẹ̀jẹ̀ àpèrè wà ńbẹ̀. Ìbáṣepọ̀ láàrin ọkọ àti ìyàwó tó yẹ kó dánmọ́rán kò ní dánmọ́rán torí pé kíni ẹ̀jẹ̀ ń rú, ẹ̀jẹ̀ dẹ̀ ń sọ̀rọ̀. Mo wá sọ wípé tá a bá fẹ́ kó continue bẹ́ẹ̀, a ní láti wá olùbánidámọ̀ràn. A máa ń pè wọ́n counselor. Àwọn therapist ni àwọn tó máa ń báyàn wo ọgbẹ́ ọkàn, tó máa ń báyàn jẹ́ kí egbò yẹn jiná, wọ́n á fògùn sí, wọ́n á foríṣiríṣi nǹkan sí, wọ́n á tó. Bí ìgbà téèyàn légbò lára ni. Tó o bá ti ṣe nǹkan kan sí egbò yẹn, ó máa kẹ̀. Wọ́n lè padà gé ojú ibẹ̀ yẹn tàbí kán gé apá ibẹ̀ yẹn kúrò. Mo ti rẹ́ni tán gé ẹsẹ̀ torí pé kíni diabetes ò jẹ́ kí egbò ẹ̀ jiná. Gẹ́gẹ́ bẹ́ẹ̀ náà ni ọgbẹ́ ọkàn, gẹ́gẹ́ bẹ́ẹ̀ náà ni egbò ọkàn. Mo ti rí àwọn àgbàlagbà tó jẹ́ pé títí di ìsinyìí ẹni tó máa ń bínú ni wọ́n. Wọn ò ṣọ̀rẹ́ ẹnikẹ́ni, ìkorò pọ̀ nú wọn gan nítorí pé kíni ibi tán ti ń bọ̀ ni. Gẹ́gẹ́ bẹ́ẹ̀ náà ni mo ti rí àwọn ọkùnrin tó jẹ́ pé ẹ máa wò pé bàbá yìí ó tún lọ ń gbọ́mọdé ní kékeré, àpẹ̀lágbúrúgbó ẹ̀jẹ̀ ló ń ru sókè. If you find yourself in that kind of a place, make a decision to seek help. Professional intervention is possible. You can be free from anything that wants to mess your life up. Yorùbá sọ nǹkan kan, wọ́n ní tí ìdí bá bàjẹ́ tó nídìí ló ń dà. Don't allow yourself to become a victim of error in the name of it's a man's thing. Please don't say that again. I've had it multiple times, even from people that are supposed to be religiously inclinated, saying, we are in men's world. Men are naturally humanizers. Men likes women. Wo, ẹ má jẹ́ kán po ẹ̀kọ́ yẹn fún wa ká jẹ o, àbí ká mú o. If your faith and your religion sticks to one wife, one woman, even in Islamic religion, if you want to have that affair, you want to marry that person home, kì í ṣe abetí ṣe kíní kan lẹ́gbẹ̀ẹ́ ògiri ní kẹ́ máa ṣe, kẹ́ wá máa sọ pé kò sí nǹkan kan tó wà ńbẹ̀. You are breaking the heart of your wife, you are messing up the minds of your children, and the effect is devastating. Follow me on Instagram. My Instagram handle is Olufunke Adetuberu. I want to say a very big thank you to everyone who has listened to me today. You've listened with your heart, and I know, on behalf of Dr. Yinka Efele, who is the father of Fresh FM Nigeria, a man I celebrate so dearly, on his behalf, I appreciate everyone for listening. You need counseling, you need therapy, you want help from àwọn nǹkan tí mo ti sọ yẹn, wọ́n ṣe gbìgbìgbì lọ́kàn yín ni. The number to text, ẹ jọ̀ọ́ mi kí n gbé phone torí èrò máa ń pọ̀. The number to text is 080-232-42389. 080-232-42389. Once again, I want to say a very big thank you to everyone. I appreciate you dearly. I'll see you next week. Thank you.